Hey y'all, happy Wednesday. Welcome to another Facebook Live. Romaine, Calm, and Carrot on. Before we get started, we'll go through our usual housekeeping. As always, I'm Catherine, one of the dietitians here.
And I'm Laura, the other dietitian.
We're part of a care team here at Blue Cross with social workers, nurses, pharmacists, us, the dietitians. So we're here to help our members, and yeah, so we're part of a great care team. Also, of course, you're probably on our Facebook page now, but like us, set your notifications so you can see whenever we do these videos or some of our other care team does videos. That way you can get alerts. We're also on YouTube. We have some videos besides the ones we do here, along with some other videos on YouTube. We're on Instagram, TikTok, all the social media things. Thankfully, we have social media people that do that because it's not my specialty. Okay, so moving on real quick. Also, speaking of our social worker, she has her own Facebook Live channel or YouTube channel. Again, I don't know the technical term, sorry. It's called Motivated Mindset. That was Avis. So check her out. She has her Facebook videos also that are great, help you with stress, different things like that.
And May is Mental Health Month, so she'll be focusing a lot on mental health in her next upcoming video that she does next week.
Alrighty.
Okay. Yes, so thank you to Albertsons. We're back at Albertsons again for this Facebook Live. They've been fabulous. They kind of let us do our own thing, and we really appreciate it. We were kind of got crazy this time. You'll notice some of our videos we're getting really comfortable with them, so we really appreciate them letting us come in and kind of take over some of the aisles. It's been fabulous. It's been really, I've enjoyed it a lot, actually.
Yes, yeah. So this, let's see, yeah, so this week's, or month's, should I say, sorry, this month's live is all about grains. We go through the various aisles, and we have a few videos and a few that we'll talk through, but we're gonna go straight into pasta first.
Okay, we're in the pasta aisle. So we wanna just kind of review pastas and the different options that you have when you're in the grocery store. So Catherine and I always like to say, pasta is not the reason why America has diabetes. It's oatmeal cream pies, chips, donuts. These are the things that we wanna get rid of, and we wanna put these on our plate. These are totally appropriate to have. So we're gonna do some comparison of the different types. Catherine, go ahead and start with them.
Okay, so this is just some thin, basic spaghetti. For 2 ounces, we have 42 grams of carbohydrates.
This also is a 2-ounce serving for the food label, and it's going to give me 40 grams of carbs.
However, I only have 2 grams of fiber.
And I have 6 grams of fiber. So we know that fiber is ultimately the benefit when you choose whole grain versus more refined pastas. So what is fiber? Why do we want fiber? We want fiber for, we know that it keeps us full for longer, so that's a huge plus. We know that it helps with our cholesterol. Fiber and cholesterol bind together and then they're excreted. We know that it keeps our colon happy and healthy, and we know that it helps keep our blood sugars from rising as quickly because of that fiber piece. So you had how many grams of carbs?
42.
And I have 40. So we're saving 2 grams, but we're getting 6 grams of fiber with the whole grain versus...
Sorry, 2 grams.
2 grams of fiber. Okay.
All right, so now we're gonna go to some bean pasta just to see what some differences with this. So for 2 ounces, it is 34 grams of carbohydrates. Should we compare it to?
Yes. Let's do
one
that.
of those.
So we know that marketing works, right? These both look super healthier to me than this. And so I might choose these, but you have to turn the box over and look at the label, because if you don't, you'll be swooed by marketing, right? So you have the red bean, and let's see.
The red bean was 34 grams of carbohydrates.
Okay, so it says it's made with cauliflower. So I'm like, oh, well, it must have 0 carbs because cauliflower doesn't have carbs. Incorrect. This one, for the same portion, 2 ounces, has 35 grams of carbohydrates, and I have 4 grams of fiber.
I have 6.
So more fiber, a little bit less I had 35.
Yeah, 1 gram.
Okay. This one also looks super healthy. It's made with greens.
super green.
Super greens. So I'm gonna be like Popeye when I eat this, and I'm gonna get a total of 40 grams of carbs for my same portion of 2 ounces with 4 grams of fiber. So they're all pretty much the same. You're not really getting that much saving. It's really, so I encourage people to choose what they want, because you want, at the end of the day, you want to be enjoy your meal, and you want to like the taste of your food. It's all about portion sizes, right? So it's really important that we measure our portions, and that's ultimately our goal. I will say that with pastas, I really like to encourage people to choose something like the rotini. Or any of these different shapes, because the thing that's cool about this is that you can measure this dry and then boil it. So let's say I'm by myself, I'm just trying to keep my portions to what I need, and so I want, about 30 grams of carbohydrates or 40 grams of carbohydrates per serving. I can actually measure this raw and then boil it, and then that's all I have, so I don't have to be tempted by eating more, because that's all I prepared, right?
Very
so that's
true.
one good thing about pasta, is it's easier to measure this than it is to measure this.
And I'm looking at the price up here. I mean, it's $5 for the cauliflower pasta versus $1. So, as you've heard,
Or two for $1. What?
2 for $1. So you've seen from our other videos, we've talked about frozen veggies, fresh veggies, the sales they have, the generic brand. You might as well get your regular pasta for $1 and go buy some store brand frozen vegetables instead of trying to do cauliflower pasta. So, all right, we're gonna move on to rice now.
Okay, so that was a lot of information, but hopefully the big moral of the story, and kind of the story of this whole Facebook Live today, is labels. So the food labels are there, they're guiding us, they're helping us to figure out, depending on what my nutritional needs are, which box or which product is best for me. Always turn that package over. Try not to allow the marketing to sway you. I know it's very easy, because it happens to me and Catherine all the time, but you always want to look at that food label. Okay, so
Awesome.
moving on.
Okay, so now we're going to go through rice, and the same applies. You'll see this, of course, throughout our whole video today. Packaging, marketing, all of that works and sways people. But of course, if you look at the nutrition facts, so we're going to go through some right here, and I'm going to just kind of say a little bit about what we're looking at as the video goes. So couscous, a lot of people tell me that they stopped eating rice, they're going to choose couscous instead. That is personal preference. That is great. But for 1/3 cup of couscous, we're still at 40 grams of carbs. So you're still getting carbs. Yes, you're getting some protein, but it's not a carb-free item. So still be aware of your portions. Okay, a lot of people also say they're going to choose Jasmine rice instead of the long grain. So we compared the nutrition facts. The 2/3 cup serving size, both of them have 35 and 36 grams of carbs. I mean, there really isn't a difference. Fiber, the enriched rice has just 0 grams of fiber, while Jasmine has less than 1. So you're kind of at the same thing there. Calories are about the same. So again, it's back to personal preference. If you want to choose Jasmine over long grain rice, by all means go for it, but it's not calorie or carb free. It had gone through minute rice. I'm a personal fan of minute rice. It's just 4 of us in our household, little kids who don't eat a lot. So I do minute rice because it's quick. I'm not doing a whole container. And again, it's still just the portion. So it went really quickly through the rice-a-roni. That's what was first. And that's a good quick fix for a carbohydrate side. I mean, you're definitely saving some fat or something like that than, French fries or maybe some mac and cheese maybe. For our high blood pressure people, though, it's still really high in salt. So you just got to be aware of that. But it is an option. And then Laura is really frustrated because the Tony's food label is very hard to read. So we wrote it down. For 1/3 cup dry mix is how the label reads. We're at 33 grams of carbs and 4 grams of protein. So we don't know exactly I mean, that's right.
Like, what is dry? Like, who makes the dry mix? I wish the labels would list it as prepared, like what you're actually going to put in your mouth. No one's eating the raw dry mix.
Yeah.
So that's why we were so flustered by some of the labels can be really hard to interpret how to make it fit to like what you're actually going to consume.
Correct. So as you can see, like rice itself is not a problem per se. We didn't really go through fat because it's a lot of numbers to spit out, but I mean all of them, there's no added fat to rice. So it's a much better side than potatoes au gratin or Kraft macaroni and cheese or something. So rice and gravy is not exactly why the world is diabetic. So
I will say that like sometimes like we'll look at we've compared like salads and we'll say like which one do you think is healthier, and a lot of times like the couscous, like it just sounds healthy because I guess it's, I don't know, it's not new by any means, but it's still a grain. And so like sometimes when we were comparing like a salad that had couscous in it versus like a sandwich, even, you know, the carbohydrates and the calories and the fat were less in the sandwich than in the salad. And so again, don't be fooled by like what we are kind of the media or our interpretation of grains like as being super healthy. In the end, it's a grain.
Yeah.
So,
and that made me think of quinoa too. How a lot of people are switching to quinoa. So, I mean, yeah, it's a great healthy grain with fiber and things like that. So, I mean, we're not knocking them totally. It's just be aware of what you're having. It still doesn't mean to have 4 cups of quinoa.
Yeah.
So, okay. So that's our spiel on rice. So now we're going to go into breads. Okay, the reason we have these two pictured is in the video you'll see in a second. I choose the Nature's Own honey wheat.
And my family does the Nature's Own white wheat.
So we did a comparison. So while the video is playing, we compare these at the very end, but drop in the comments which you think might be the better option. So, okay, I think we're going to talk through this one. Yeah.
Yep. So this is just us saying, like, again, there's so many options. So bread is an easy, fast carbohydrate choice for breakfast in the morning. And so Catherine is saying that she likes to choose the English muffins, and I was just saying that I really like the Raisin Bran bread. So again, you have choices. This is talking about like the sandwich thins. The sandwich thins have...
Watch my face when I read the label. Or if we can see, because I'm shocked, but I think we're...
So we're looking at 28 grams for both top and bottom of the sandwich thin, 55 grams for the bagels. I always tell people eating a bagel is, I usually say 60 grams of carbs. It's the same thing as eating 4 slices of bread. And that's what I said. This is like, I was talking about this bread. I mean, marketing, look at this label. It's like, if I eat this bread, I'm going to have these big old muscles. And this one slice of that bread had 22 grams of carbs. That said 23. No, yeah, 23 for the Daves, and then the big bread, like some of those bigger breads have like 22 grams. So they have more grains and more fiber, and the grains are a little bit more whole, less processed, but they're still got more carbs. So, okay, so here's our little comparison of what, and it's really just about what your family prefers, because very few people are buying 2 loaves of bread because it'll go bad. So my bread one, I got a little, I'm a little bit too excited because when you really look at the numbers, so for 2 slices of mine, I have 120 calories, 25 carbs with 3 fiber, and Catherine's had 140 calories, so 20 more calories with Catherine's. The carbs were the same. Your carbs were 26, mine were 25. The piece that I think that made me the winner was the fiber. So mine's gonna have fiber where hers doesn't have fiber.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's still not a huge difference. So again, so there's a ton of different breads. Just use your label, and honestly, if you eat a slice of Wonder white bread or Bunny white bread or what, it's okay. Like, you're not, again, it's the fiber piece that you're not going to get with the process of any grain versus a whole wheat grain. And so we've done the benefit of fiber and whole grains before, so you know that that's there. But it's not like you're going to get diabetes if you eat white bread. Catherine and I always get so flustered because sometimes the only recommendations that you might hear are don't eat anything white. And that's not necessarily going to save you from getting diabetes versus not. So the white stuff is okay. It comes down to portions. And if this is what's going to keep you from going to McDonald's to get one of the meal deals from
The
breakfast
Whopper with the French fries,
then by all means this is significantly healthier, right? So you can have a peanut butter and jelly and be totally fine and significantly healthier than a meal deal from some of the fast food places.
yes.
Okay.
All right. So now we're going to dive into cereal.
This has a video.
Yes. So unfortunately, cereal is not as good as people.
Moving on to cereal. I don't want to walk. In the cereal aisle, obviously these sugary cereals, there's not much positive that we're going to say about it. You just want to know that if you're going to eat it, portion size is really important. I will say that a lot of kids eat this, and there is a positive here in that it's basically like eating a multivitamin because it's fortified with so many nutrients. So if you're going to find a positive, it's because they've got a lot of vitamins and minerals that they've added back to the cereals. So that's good.
Just check your food labels. I try to tell people too, they tell me they might have just a bowl of cereal, and I'm like, well, how much is in that bowl? So if a cup is a serving, maybe scoop out what a cup is, pour it in your bowl, and see how much it really looks like, because 12 grams of added sugar, or another 15 grams of added sugar and 200 something calories, that can add up if you realize you're actually having 3 cups of this cereal. So
with milk.
So these are at least pre-portioned. So but it's 53 grams of carbohydrates for this. So this can maybe give you an idea how maybe one of your bowls looks like at home. 53 grams of carbohydrates, and it's only 3 grams of protein. So as you know, probably won't hold you over too long.
I just wanted to do a little plug on Cheerios. They have the heart on the front of their boxes, and it's because of the fiber. So we talked about fiber earlier with the pasta. When it's got at least 3 grams of fiber per serving, it gets to put this little heart on its front of the box. So 3 grams of fiber is considered a good source. 5 grams of fiber is considered an excellent source.
How many, and what was the serving?
This has, for 1.5 cups, it has 4 grams.
Okay. Spotted these a minute ago and was like, holy
What?
cow. So for 1 1/4 cup, 230 calories, 27 grams of total sugar. I normally look at carbs, but that sugar is wild. So 42 grams of carbohydrates for 1 1/4 cup.
This had 2 grams of total sugar.
No.
So Raisin Bran, it seems healthy. It's got the heart healthy little label on it. And so I turn it over and I look at the food label. For 1 cup, I'm getting 47 grams of carbohydrates. So it's the raisins. And if you've ever taken them out, they look a little white. I don't know what that is on there, but they are white. And I'm curious if that's what helps increase the, because it might be dusted sugar. I don't know really what it is. Anyway, going back to the food label, we have 47 grams for 1 cup. We do have 7 grams of fiber. That's huge. But 1 cup is not a lot. And so I feel like most of my members eat this with milk and a banana. When you have 47 grams plus 1 cup of milk is 12, plus a banana is 20-ish, 25 grams.
Yeah.
We're getting up there.
And there's no protein in your fruit.
Right.
So carbs can add up. So now we're going to look at fiber 1. So this is now only 2/3 cup. So all the portions are just so all over the place. 34 grams of carbohydrates. But we have 18 grams of fiber.
What? Drink some water when you eat that.
Yeah, so it's a lot. So, yeah. But Laura had a great point. Sprinkle some over yogurt. That's a very good way to do this.
Because no one's eating that much. You can't. I think that's way too much to take in for your poor digestive system. But it adds some crunch to a yogurt, which I think is really good. And you wouldn't put a cup in. You'd probably make a third, or
Correct. So then you could be getting half or a third of that fiber number, which is still better than what we're getting elsewhere. So, yeah, that's a lot of fiber. All right.
It is called Fiber 1. I wanted to do really quick Kind cereal. they always promote their cereal as much protein as an egg. This one only has 6 grams. That one had 5. This one has 6. So this is not bad. You know, I mean, 6 grams of protein is about what an egg has. An egg has 7. So, so this is 2/3 a cup, 35 carbs, 4 grams of fiber. Not bad. I mean, doable. Again, I think the point of all of cereals is to pay attention to how full you are after. If I eat cereal at 8 o'clock in the morning and I am like ravenous about to eat a whole cow by 10, it's not working. Or,
so we pulled aside what would be a much better breakfast. Let's say you have 1 English muffin. There's your 30 grams of carbohydrates. Here's your egg. So, you know, Laura was just saying the protein right at 6, just to confirm.
I said 7.
Oh, it says 6.
Okay.
And then 2 turkey patties for 10 grams of protein. And of course, from previous educations, y'all should be experts by now. Protein has 0 grams of carbohydrates. So it's only 110 calories for 2 of these, about 70 calories for an egg, 120, I eat these all the 150, sorry, I was close. So much better breakfast.
How much sodium is in those? Everybody's gonna say, aren't those so high in salt?
420 milligrams for 2 patties.
Which is not bad. So we know that 660 is the goal for meal 4. We're so good at math. Let's see if we can do this. 240 and
420.
so 4, 5,
Add
6.
it and put it in the comments.
We're looking at 660. What? Pretty much nailed it.
Okay, so hopefully you got a little bit more insight about cereals and what's in them. I know a lot of people I talk to will just do that as a quick fix for supper if they don't feel like cooking, but I don't think people realize how many carbs, calories, sugar, it just adds up really quickly versus maybe having a sandwich like we were talking about earlier with maybe some nuts or something.
Or breakfast for dinner.
Yeah, so of course here's our great alternative like we showed in the video, the English muffin with a scrambled or boiled egg and the sausage patty. So again, your only carbs are here. We're doing light with the the turkey patty. And then eggs aren't as bad as they were made out to be, what, in the 90s? Is that when they were? So anyway, just a much better alternative than having a big old bowl of cereal and milk is what we're trying to get at.
And pretty easy to prepare too. I mean, you can scramble an egg or fry an egg pretty quick. Okay, so moving on to hot cereal. So hot cereal is a great alternative as well. You're getting a little bit more nutritional value when you're doing some of the hot cereals. So we're going to start with oatmeal and grits. So we have just a couple.
Such a big variety too.
There's so many options. Like there's a lot more individual. There's organic. There's So again, marketing works, and the food label is ultimately your saving grace. So.
Right.
Yep. So let's compare. So we have some different options for the Quaker oatmeal packs. So we know that like if you cook them from scratch, the rolled oats, the real deal steel cut oats, those are fine. But these are fine as well. It just takes a little bit of time out of your time in the day in the morning when we're running trying to get out of the house. So. Let's compare. So we have original, we have gluten-free, maple and brown sugar, and we have protein. So we know we're doing gluten-free if we have celiac disease, or it doesn't necessarily have to be celiac disease. Maybe you have a gluten intolerance. You haven't been diagnosed with celiac disease, but you know when you eat gluten, your stomach doesn't feel right, and so you're trying to move towards gluten-free. This is, as we'll see, it's not necessarily going to save you any calories. We've talked about this before. Gluten-free does not mean healthy and diet by any means. So. Try to be conscious of that.
It literally means gluten-free. They just took the gluten out.
Yeah. So gluten is is in wheat, and so they usually replace it with a rice or like a potato as the starch instead of the actual gluten in wheat. Okay, so calories, we have 100 calories for the original, we have 160 for the maple and brown sugar, and we have 220 for the protein. There is a lower sugar, maple brown sugar as well, that does have a decent lowering with regards to calories and carbohydrate content. The fat is pretty much the same, 2 to 3 Sodium, I was kind of surprised with this. I guess I shouldn't be, because obviously you're adding seasonings and there's stuff going into the packages besides just the straight oats. So 75 milligrams for the original, 170 for the gluten-free one, and then 270 for the protein option. Still great, right? So again, 660 milligrams per meal. I think I said this every video, but 660 milligrams of sodium per meal is what you're kind of looking for. Carbs were at 18, 32, and 41. So obviously the original is going to have less because there's not much in it. And so if you want to do this and then add your own cinnamon, add your own fruit or whatever you put in your oatmeal, then that's great. And if you're buying the ones that are already flavored, they're still...
That's why the carbs went up for
yeah,
sure.
they're still doable. I mean,
Yeah.
it's still under the 45 grams for ladies, 60 grams for men. So this is still an option that's, totally fine. The fiber, we say fiber 3 grams per serving is a good source. 5 grams per serving is an excellent or great source. So these fibers look great. And the fiber, surprisingly, okay, so we know that soluble fiber is that fiber that we're pinpointing with regards to cholesterol, and the fiber being able to help lower your cholesterol levels. You're looking for the soluble fiber. Oh, excuse me. So it's not as high as I thought, but it's still a good source. So that's good. So oatmeal's a great choice. You can add like a protein with it, so you can add a hard-boiled egg, you can add a turkey sausage, just to kind of give you a little bit more staying power, to keep you full all the way into lunch.
Perfect. Alrighty. So.
Oh, I didn't want to talk about grits. So grits are the same thing. So grits are going to be a label that you want to compare. We know that the grits aren't going to have the fiber piece, and so when someone is eating grits in the morning, I'll tell them to try to add that egg, because it is going to give you a little bit more staying power. You really want to make sure that your breakfast is taking you to lunch. When you talk about like time frame between breakfast and lunch, the hours is not nearly as big of a chunk as between lunch and dinner. So if you can, not have a snack between breakfast and lunch because your breakfast keeps you full, that's really big. And so that's something that you want to keep, just kind of be aware of.
I just went back to the grits picture
Yeah.
for people to see grits. Yeah. That's the biggest thing is we don't have the fiber, but just lacking.
And I will say that, like, to me, this is my own personal opinion, grits is like a vehicle for butter and salt for me. So I cannot eat grits without salt and butter in them. And so, whereas I can with the oatmeal. And so if I'm trying to monitor my saturated fat intake, or if I'm trying to monitor my salt intake, grits is going to be really, really hard to do. No one should be holding their nose and eating to get it in. If you want to enjoy your food, and so if you can't eat it and enjoy it without the salt and the butter, then maybe you switch to oatmeal, and it's just easier to kind of hit your numbers for your meals.
All right. Okay.
So crackers. Yep. So again, the cracker aisle is huge. Food is so great. Like going into like the food market, if that's where you want to put your career, good luck, because there is so many options. So that is an unnecessary side point. Okay, so we're talking about, like, there's clubs and there's all different varieties. There's multigrains, there's reduced fat. All of them really are going to have these
Cheez-It grooves.
I mean, like it's
Cheez-It,
crazy, the
Pepper
options.
Jack, Cheddar Jack.
Yeah.
Jeez,
So we're going to talk about the labels on the wheat thins the next slide, but I do want to, personal favorite is Triscuits for me, because it's got 3 ingredients or less. I like to, there's a lot of people that are trying to do like clean eating, and one way that you can kind of help or guide yourself with that is if you can get an item that has 5 ingredients or less, it's technically, or usually it's going to be a good product. Mm-hmm. So the Triscuits only have 3, which I think is fabulous. Because if you were to compare, like if you were to look at the wheat thin or the club cracker label, ingredient label, it's really long. Okay, so comparing the regular wheat thins to reduced fat wheat thins, we have the same serving size, 16 pieces, total fat 5 versus 3.5. Saturated fat is the same. So we know when we're looking at cholesterol, heart disease, we're really focusing on that saturated fat number. So they're exactly the same.
Sodium, carbs,
sodium is all the same. Yeah, everything
protein.
else is the same. So it kind of just depends. Again, are you trying to monitor your fat intake? Calories. I mean, calories do count when we're looking at calories in, calories out. So you're saving 20. I just don't know how much if it's really worth it. Some people like some people like the crunch that sometimes you'll get with a reduced fat, because it does kind of change the texture. Like I love baked Lay's because they're like, I like dry crunchy.
Yeah.
Whereas some people like the regular Lay's because they're
soaked in oil.
Yeah. They're a little bit more greasy. So it could be like I buy baked Lay's not necessarily because of the calories as much as I just prefer the taste of them.
Yeah. Yeah.
Personal little thing. Okay. Oh, that's it. That was fast.
So, we need to get to some questions.
Yeah.
Sounds
we have
good.
A couple questions. I saw a question. Let's see. I heard you don't really need grains, pasta, rice in your diet. Is that true? Yeah, I mean, it can be. So carbohydrates. Carbohydrates are one of the 3 main macronutrients that our foods are comprised of. Carbohydrates include the grains that were listed. That's the starch group, fruit, and milk. So those are your 3 carbohydrate groups. If you don't get your your carbohydrates through your grains, you can get them through your fruit and your milk. There is research that states that your body can convert the other macronutrients, protein and fat, into carbohydrates that you can use. Personally, I don't think it's necessary. I think that carbohydrates are a great source of energy. You get your energy through your food. Your food gives you the ability to stand up and go to the coffee machine or go to the bathroom, whatever. So you can go around it, but personally, I don't feel like it's necessary, and I don't promote that.
Yeah, no, and I mean, we're in Louisiana, and I just always try to tell people, I mean, that's super hard to not eat red beans and rice here, or crawfish étouffée, or pastelaya, or jambalaya, or gumbo. It's just, but again, when I talk to patients day to day and they tell me about their eating habits, those are not the type of meals they're overindulging in. It's going through the drive-through, too many sodas, late night snacking on things like greasy chips, pints of ice cream, sleeves of Girl Scout cookies. So it's not like someone is having too much red beans and rice with a side of a vegetable we like. So I've just really pushed that we live in definitely a state that, I mean, I guess a lot of states eat rice, but here there's just going to be a lot of rice, and it's hard. And why deprive yourself of gumbo? Like, we're not obese from gumbo. So yeah, but people can get their carbs, like she said, from other options, but I'll really push, let's limit the drive-through versus treating yourself to gumbo or that shrimp creole or crawfish étouffée or something.
Yeah, a lot of times I'll tell people, like, if I was gonna really try to go lower carbohydrate, I would get my carbohydrates from fruit and beans. So beans are fabulous. They are super complex. They have lots of protein. They have tons of fiber. They have antioxidants. They have tons of vitamins and minerals. So beans are an awesome choice to get your carbohydrates from. I love fruit just because it's got colors and variety and some of the vitamins and minerals that you're not going to get from the other food groups. So I think those are 2. Like, if you wanted to do low carb, maybe remove the bread and the rice and the pasta and eat your beans and your fruit.
Yeah.
That's my
perfect. So speaking of rice, another question had come in asking about the basmati rice, how it compares or if it's healthier. So it's kind of like in our rice video, how all rice is pretty similar. There was maybe a few differences with fiber, whatnot. We got the nutrition facts real quick, and for pretty much, I guess I'll say the same serving size to make it easy, the carbohydrates are 35 grams. There is some protein, so that's good. I mean, there's a little bit more protein than the long grain rice. Mm-hmm. So, and closer to like the couscous quinoa, but there's 0 grams of fiber. So again, the moral of the story is it's still a grain. Yeah, it's still portion control. I mean, it's still portion control. Yeah. Any more questions, team?
But it is nice because it does give you different flavors. So all of the different rices might give you more like textures or just different, like a flavor profile might be different. Yeah. So I mean, you can try them, but don't believe that they're free of carbs because they're a grain. They're definitely carbohydrates. So
another question came in. Can you see it without me crossing?
Is there any danger these days from eating romaine lettuce for a while? The warnings. Yeah, so all of that stuff, I laugh because we're romaine calm. I didn't know if it was a tag at us.
Yeah.
No, so that kind of stuff is coming out of the CDC. And so if there's been a outbreak of listeria or whatever, whatever the bacteria is, then we're going to know about it from our CDC. We have to trust the CDC. They're the ones that are kind of guiding all of this. So if it's out there and you watch the news, you're going to know about it, or you read the paper, or you read any kind of social media that's going to provide you with news. You'll get it from there. So to my knowledge, there's nothing. I don't think anything's been recalled in a while. Where's some wood? Because I think we're good. So eat romaine. Romaine calm and carrot on.
All right, that's it as far as questions. Okay, so we are going to take a month off, relax in May. School is ending. We'll relax.
Going on in May.
So in June,
take care of your mental mindset in May. Take care of your mind.
I think because Ava has
some good stuff.
Some videos coming out. Okay, so we'll be at the farmers market. We
in June
filmed already, but we're gonna actually do the live and show all that we found there. So we'll be back in June showing you one of the local farmers market and all the amazing things you can get at farmers markets, and we'll be back then. So have a great month, day, week, year. Thanks for tuning in.